A powerful display of unity today. Jews, Muslims, and political leaders backing up the church where evil struck. I'm Tim Harfman, standing by in Williamsburg with the latest and the hunt on the vandal.
Bright lights and the big battle that's brewing. A New Jersey family says their township wants them to pay to display their eye-popping Christmas decorations. The Diocese of Syracuse releasing a list of priests accused of sexual abuse, and the bishop is speaking about it. Plus an outpouring of love and affection for George Herbert Walker Bush as he lies in state at the Capitol. The news starts right now.
The voices of tolerance will outshadow the voices of hate.
A call to unity after a man is caught on camera targeting a Brooklyn church in a disturbing display of vandalism. Good evening, everyone. I'm Liz Faublas. Brooklyn's top elected official, Eric Adams, plus Muslim and Jewish leaders pledging support for the Catholic Church, where two holy statues were destroyed. Currents News' Tim Harfman is standing by in Williamsburg with the update to the story we first reported last night. Tim.
Liz, as a suspect remains on the loose, the interfaith gathering outside the precinct earlier today sent a strong message. Someone may have broken statues, but not spirits.
We must send the right message to those who are attempting to divide us.
Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams joining religious and other political leaders outside the 90th Police Precinct in Williamsburg. It's an ecumenical effort after two angel statues were destroyed outside Our Lady of Consolation Church Sunday. Leaders offering to make personal donations to replace the statues.
All of us have our particular faith traditions, but we're all Catholic with a small c, because it means universal.
We must stand up and add our voice that we are our brother's keeper, and that is why we're here together.
Monsignor Kieran Harrington, Vicar for Communications for the Brooklyn Diocese, says the gesture is appreciated, but encouraged them to donate towards issues such as homelessness and drug addiction.
Maybe we ought to be focusing, as a matter of public policy, on solving some of these deeper problems that are causing some of the fracturing, the breaking of our society.
The NYPD is investigating Sunday morning's incident as a possible hate crime. Surveillance video captures an individual urinating on the two sculptures before pushing them off their platforms, shattering to the ground. The suspect is described as a 30-year-old male with brown hair, around 6 feet tall and weighing 190 pounds. He was last seen wearing beige pants and a dark pea coat. It is reportedly the 6th time in 8 years statues have been desecrated outside Our Lady of Consolation Church, located on Metropolitan Avenue between Bedford Avenue and Berry Street. Religious leaders have a message for the vandal.
We welcome all people. We all have made mistakes, some worse than others, but there's room for everyone, but you have to show that you're sincere before you are forgiven.
We'll forgive you for breaking a statue, and if you need help, we're here to help you in any way we can.
And no word yet on when the statues will be replaced at Our Lady of Consolation. We're told each one costs a couple of $100s. As the NYPD continues to investigate this possible hate crime, anyone with information is urged to come forward or contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-577-TIPS or texting their tip to crimes, then enter tip 577. In Williamsburg, Brooklyn, Tim Harfman, Currents News. Liz, back to you.
All right, Tim, thank you. A Catholic family's over-the-top Christmas display is bringing them joy and stress this year. The decorations attract thousands of spectators to their New Jersey community, but the family says the township is acting like Scrooge. Currents News' Emily Drewby has the story from Old Bridge, New Jersey.
It's one of the most revered Christmas light shows in the Northeast.
Watching it live is it's unreal.
This extravagant display featuring 70,000 synchronized lights almost went dark this year after the Old Bridge, New Jersey homeowners say the township told them they would have to pay $2,600 a night for police and bus shuttle service. But homeowner Tom Apruzzi, a devout Catholic, says the show must go on.
I'm not shutting down for nobody. You know, you're always going to have that couple of people that don't agree with it. But you know what? It's about the happiness and the smiles on people's faces. And if you look at all these people, there's smiles everywhere.
Even with the looming threat of thousands of dollars in fees, Apruzzi and his wife Chris decided decided to debut their family's 2018 Christmas light show this season, much to the happiness of spectators.
I think it's absolutely crazy. He's giving back to the neighborhood. He's not doing this for himself.
Police are still on hand to help with the traffic for the home located at 18 Central Avenue, a residential neighborhood. Abruzzi says he hasn't gotten a bill from the township yet and doesn't know if one will come, but if it does.
When I get the bill, then my attorney gets the bill, and we work it out from there.
Tom's brother Al Abruzzi estimates the family has spent over $100,000 on the light show over the years, telling us it takes about 2 months to set up. They also used the Christmas display to raise thousands of dollars in donations for the organization Homes for Our Troops.
For somebody to try and put a kibosh on Christmas and veterans and children, you're not going to win.
We reached out to the township's mayor, Owen Henry, and the township's police department for comment multiple times, but have not heard back. As of now, Abruzzi plans on continuing the light show. It will run Thursday through Sunday in December from 6 to 10 p.m. and then will run the whole week of Christmas. In Old Bridge, Emily Druby, Currents News.
The Syracuse Diocese has released a list of priests credibly accused of sexually abusing children over the last 70 years. There are 57 names of clergy, 19 are still alive. The Bishop of Syracuse, Robert Cunningham, says he grappled with whether to release the list because some survivors wanted the names made public and others didn't.
For the good of the church, for the good of people, for the good of victims, many of whom wanted their names out there, we thought it was the right move to make. We're sorry that this happened within the church, and we hope that all members of the church will move forward together in making sure that something like this never happens again.
Officials say more names could be added in the coming months as they learn of more allegations. Pennsylvania's highest court has ruled the names of some clergy cited in its grand jury report on sexual abuse will not be made public. The Supreme Court said releasing the information would have violated the clergymen's state constitutional right to have their reputations protected. The clergy challenged being named in the document before its August release, arguing the report stigmatized people who hadn't been convicted of crimes. Also tonight, a moving moment in the Capitol Rotunda this afternoon when former Senator Bob Dole paid tribute to George Herbert Walker Bush. The 95-year-old World War II hero was helped up from his wheelchair. A former U.S. Army captain, Dole snapped off a salute to the Bush casket. He said it marked the end of an era, the passing of the last World War II veteran president. Politicians and the public alike are still streaming into the nation's Capitol Rotunda to say their final goodbyes to the leader fondly remembered as 41. This as President Donald Trump is scheduled to meet privately with the grieving Bush family. Natasha Chen is on Capitol Hill with the very latest.
Everyday Americans, influential leaders, and family all continue to honor the life and service of President George H.W. Bush.
There's a time for politics and there's a time for governing, but there's also a time for reflection. And this is a time for reflection for our country to think about the values that make our country great.
Taking the time for that reflection today on Capitol Hill, current and several former heads of the CIA as a group paid their respects to the man who served as the 11th director of the Central Intelligence Agency. And some of the military leaders of Operation Desert Storm who served under President Bush, including Colin Powell, said Bush was very deliberate in how he planned for war.
He cared about every single soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine we sent over there. And he wanted us to finish the war quickly and to get out of Iraq and back home and away from Kuwait quickly.
Others who paid their respects included members of the president's personal Secret Service detail and the president's service dog, Sully, who appeared alongside other beneficiaries of the Americans with Disabilities Act, a law President Bush signed in 1990.
It changed the lives of so many people with disabilities, myself included, and it still is one of the most profound legacies of his presidency.
President Bush will continue to lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda until tomorrow morning, when a procession will take him to the Washington National Cathedral for a national funeral service. In Washington, Natasha Chen, Currents News.
Bishops from across the nation are also remembering President Bush in their prayers. Cardinal Daniel DiNardo, the president of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, released a statement praising the former president's humanity. Quote, "He inspired many as a devoted husband, father, and family patriarch. We pray for the repose of the soul of our 41st president as we remember a life well lived." The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, ordered the brutal murder of Saudi dissident and Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. That's the conclusion of a bipartisan group of senior senators after a classified briefing by CIA Director Gina Haspel. South Carolina Republican Lindsey Graham says that you would have to be, quote, willfully blind to come to any other conclusion. Tonight, tensions are running high along the Israel-Lebanon border. A new military operation is underway. Oren Lieberman has the latest from Jerusalem.
Israel announced Operation Northern Shield this morning to thwart and neutralize what they call cross-border attack tunnels dug by Hezbollah from Lebanon into Israel. The military has put its northern command on alert and closed some areas near the border as military zones. That being said, no reserves have been called up at this point, and there are no restrictions on civilians for now. The first tunnel the military is dealing with is near Metula, a town that sits right on the Israel-Lebanon border. But the operation will continue, the military says, all along the border. It's estimated that there are less than 10 tunnels the military is aware of now that enter some dozens of meters into Israel, but more could be discovered as the operation continues. The Israeli military says none of the tunnels were operational yet. This is far from Israel's first effort to shore up its northern border. For a few years now, Israel has been working to build a defensive wall on some sensitive parts of the border, as well as creating cliffs in the mountains there to make it more difficult to go through the border. Israel has also cleared away vegetation along the Lebanese border to improve visibility there.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has briefed U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo about the military operation. And at the Vatican, a high-level summit session between Pope Francis and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. This is the first time the leaders have met since the U.S. moved its embassy to Jerusalem. Calling the talks cordial, the Vatican also stressed the Holy Father's insistence that Jerusalem be preserved as a holy city for Christians, Jews, and Muslims. There's a lot more news headed your way. If you have raw beef products in your fridge or your freezer, listen up. The feds are issuing a warning tonight. I'll have important details next. Sacred relics desecrated at a Catholic church in Phoenix. Amid the devastating loss, a man of God finds compassion. And a woman is demanding closer attention be paid to disabled and elderly people after enduring an ordeal. Tonight, she is sharing her story. And do you have a story idea? Something happening in your parish we should know about? We want to hear from you. Keep this email handy, newstips@desalesmedia.org. We'll be right back. Double check your freezers. You might have some bad beef. Over 12 million pounds of raw beef products are being recalled because they're at risk of contamination with salmonella. That's according to the USDA. The agency says all recalled beef who have the code number EST267 on the package should be returned or thrown out. If you have any questions about food safety, you can call the USDA Meat and Poultry Hotline at 888-MP Hotline. That's 888-674-6854. Parishioners at a Catholic church in Phoenix are devastated after discovering sacred relics over a century old were destroyed. Yet despite their heartache and through tears, the church family still is hopeful the loss will not be in vain. At St. Mary's Roman Catholic Basilica, noon Mass is underway. But hearts are heavy.
It's hard on the emotions.
What was once a beautiful religious display, nearly 130 years old, lay in pieces, smashed.
I preached on it yesterday, and after the Masses, the people come over and knelt, and many of them were weeping.
According to police, 35-year-old homeless man Devin Thomas entered the church Saturday, disturbing this sanctuary and destroying a cross, a statue of the Virgin Mary, and an angel.
I don't know that our staff actually held him down, but they surrounded him at least till the police got there.
Thomas hit a church employee when she tried to stop him from desecrating the relics. Now he's facing charges.
He was booked into jail on aggravated criminal damage and assault.
Staff at St. Mary's remain faithful, hoping something positive might come from this terrible act. Perhaps and awareness.
In the streets of Phoenix are so many mentally ill and addicted and folks with both. And it only says we're not caring for people enough.
Because while these things may be old, they're still things.
It's about people, not statues.
Reverend Weldon says the church hasn't made plans yet to fix the broken statues. However, they plan to keep the church doors and their arms open. That's not the only despicable act to tell you about tonight. A menorah at Harvard University was knocked over, but immediately after the symbol came toppling down, an act of kindness. Complete strangers banded together to right the menorah.
It feels great. I mean, 'tis the season, so I mean, whatever we can do, whatever little thing that we can do to help the situation that was otherwise bad, feels great.
One light bulb was broken in the fall. Police are investigating. American Airlines is re-examining their procedures tonight for how its employees serve passengers traveling in wheelchairs. Just this week, an elderly woman was abandoned at Chicago O'Hare Airport, and she's demanding that officials pay closer attention to the disabled and elderly. Kim Russell has that story.
Olympia Warsaw of Van Buren Township is a tough woman who has survived a lot, including a stroke, the diagnosis of Parkinson's, and diabetes. She thought it was bad when she traveled out of town to go to her ex-husband's funeral and the airline lost her luggage. Then, the airline lost her.
I was scared to death, and I'm not scared of anything.
Here's what she says happened. A porter helped her get to the gate by wheelchair in Chicago so she could fly home to Detroit. Then her flight was canceled. She says she asked for help and was told she could have a free hotel room. She tried to explain she was not physically able to get there.
It's hard for me to move.
She says she assumes no one understood because her disability impacts her speech.
Here I am, all by myself. You know, nobody even bothered to help me.
This shouldn't happen to no one ever again.
Her husband, Ronald, says he and another family member started making phone calls when her flight didn't land in Detroit because it had been canceled. It took hours and hours for American Airlines to find his wife at the gate. He says she is grateful she survived, without insulin, all alone. American Airlines says it has launched an investigation with airline staff and a vendor that helps transport people into how this happened to make sure changes are made.
I hope they change everything.
American Airlines says it refunded the cost of Warsaw's ticket and is ensuring that no one else will be left alone. Still to come on Currents News, mission complete. Sully, the now beloved service dog to President Bush, has a new assignment, and we'll tell you what it is. It's that time again. The spirit of Christmas comes to life at the Co-Cathedral of St. Joseph, hosted by yours truly. Special guests, lots of laughter, and of course, Santa Claus. Up next, I'll speak with the award-winning crooner that will help set the holiday stage. As President Bush lies in state, a special friend came to pay his final respects. Sully, the 41st president's service dog, honored his owner and best friend. And soon the yellow lab will prepare for his next assignment, helping wounded soldiers and active duty personnel. Paul Boucher, a Navy veteran who trained service dogs, says the pooch is perfect for the role.
Dogs are wonderful at this because of the emotional attachment that people have with them. They are comforting.
Sully will stay with the Bush family until after the president is buried on Thursday. A spectacular Christmas concert is set to take place in Brooklyn just a few days from now. The show will be staged at the Co-Cathedral of St. Joseph in Prospect Heights. Last year, I had the honor of emceeing the program and was joined by Net TV's own Anthony Mangano and Christian recording artist and R&B star Kilanda. This year, the Christmas concert at the Co-Cathedral will feature Emmy award-winning journalist and recording artist Kelly Wright, who joins us now to talk about the upcoming show. Kelly, it is so great to talk with you. Without giving too much away, what are you planning for your performance on Thursday?
Well, first of all, I hope you're emceeing again because you did a marvelous job last year. I watched it and it was incredible.
Checks in the mail, baby.
All that Brooklyn in the house up in there, you were really good. So applaud you and look forward to seeing you and Anthony tomorrow, actually Thursday.
Yeah.
But I have in store a little bit of jazz, a little bit of soul, and a whole lot of Christ-centered music for the season, the reason for the season, which is to celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
And a lot of your music, Kelly, has to do with hope, equality, change, and a lot of it has to do with social justice as well. How important is that now in the times that we're living in?
Well, look, I grew up in an era where I watched a lot of civil rights leaders pave the way to be the trailblazers, people like the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And what surprises me, and the reason why I still do the kind of music that I do that speaks to social justice and racial justice and try to knock down the political walls that divide us, is due to the fact that we've come so far, but we still have so far to go. And there's a lot of things going on in the world today that keep us divided along racial, religious, and political lines, and this divisiveness has to end. So I try to do songs that put out hope in times of despair. I try to do songs that let people know, take a look around, tell me what you see. And when you see how desperate times are, take a look around and look to God to tell me what he sees and how he can step in to save humanity from our insanity.
Kelly, what is it like having two callings? You're a TV journalist, you're an inspirational singer. Which came first, and how do you balance it out?
The singing came first. I was a young child growing up to a single-parent mother who was an incredible singer, and she played piano. I didn't get that part, but I got her singing, I think, and as a result of that, I developed this love for music. And so that started when I was just a kid. Watching Tom Jones on TV. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
I love Tom Jones.
Well, that kind of permeated my psyche, and my mother started listening to me and said, oh, this young man can sing, so I need to help him. And so it started that way. And then under her direction, I really developed my love for music and my taste and styles for music. People like I said, Tom Jones, Nancy Wilson, Frank Sinatra, all the way up to the Temptations and the people of Motown and the Beatles. And consequently, I just kept a love for music. But my love for journalism also started under my mother's guidance, because when I was in high school at Gonzaga in Washington, D.C., and then St. Maria Goretti High School in Hagerstown, Maryland, I remember my mother knowing that I wanted to go into music and acting. And she said, well, let's think about a career in journalism too, because communications will always be around and you might starve trying to make a career in music.
I got to ask you really quickly, Kelly, before I let you go, we have about 30 seconds. Describe Christmas at the Wright House.
Christmas at the Wright House is all about Christ. It's all about family. It's all about thanking God for the things that he's bestowed upon us, and also trying to spread that Christmas cheer to everyone that we come in contact with. Not always an easy thing to do, but the secret of Christmas is really wrapped up in the Christmas things we do all year through.
I love it. I'll be over Christmas Day.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, Kelly, thanks for joining us. I look forward to seeing you on Thursday, my friend.
Thank you. God bless.
If you would like to see this concert for yourself, then just head to St. Joseph's Co-Cathedral at 856 Pacific Street in Brooklyn. The show starts at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday night, and it's open to the public, so no RSVP is needed, and I really hope to see you there. That is Currents News. I'm Liz Faubles. As always, thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. I hope to see you again next time.